Chapter 38:21 Ghosts fear the wicked. Even though Yun Chujia's haunted house was far away from the residences of the other outer sect disciples, Jia Rinai's wailing just now still attracted the attention of some outer sect disciples. However, those people had nothing to do with it, and they were afraid of the evil ways of the haunted house, so they naturally would not come over to check. Seeing that Yun Chujio did not speak for a long time, Jarni could not figure out what Yun Chujio meant. Just as he was about to beg for mercy again, Yun Chujio kicked him into the courtyard. "Junior sister Yun, what do you want to do?" Jarni asked in fear. "It's very simple. From now on, you will stay in my courtyard every night. Anyway, I have a lot of empty rooms here. Don't you like to pretend to be a ghost? There are a lot of ghosts in my courtyard. You can cultivate a good relationship with them," Yun Chujio said faintly. Jarni was instantly dumbfounded when he heard that. It was fine if he pretended to be a ghost outside the door, but this courtyard was a famous haunted house. If he lived here every night, wouldn't he be possessed by the devil? Just as he was about to refuse, Yun Chujio stuffed a pill into his mouth and said coldly, "Jarni, the pill I gave you is 1,000 cuts and 10,000 burps. If you don't take the antidote within a month, you will try what 1,000 cuts and 10,000 burps is. Don't worry, this is my exclusive secret medicine. No one can find out that you are poisoned. If you don't believe me, you can try it." Jarni wanted to say more, but Yun Chujio stuffed his mouth with a rag and threw it into the yard. Then she brought Buttface and the kitten into the house. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Jia Rinai's body was confined, and his mouth was stuffed with a rag. He could only lie in the yard bitterly. This was nothing. The main thing was that when he remembered that this was a haunted house, he felt a chill run down his spine. Dog 2 eagerly went to Yun Chujia's bedside. "Little fairy, weren't you scared just now? Or did you know that someone was playing tricks from the beginning?" The kitten also curiously pricked up its ears to listen. It had to say that Yun Chujia's performance just now had exceeded its expectations. This darn girl was really bold. Yun Chujio glanced at Dog 2 and said faintly, "Whether it's a ghost or a person, they are all the same in the end. What's there to be afraid of? Besides, that night, I roared and the knocking stopped. It was obvious that I scared them away. How could it be a ghost?" Buttface was stunned for a long time. After flattering him, he asked curiously, "Little fairy, if you didn't guess that it was a person pretending to be a ghost, are you afraid?" Yun Chujio raised her eyebrows slightly. "What's there to be afraid of? No matter how scary a ghost is, there are still people who are scary. Stop talking nonsense and go to sleep." Buttface repeated a few words that Yun Chujio said, then a bright light shone from his dog eyes. "Little fairy, I finally understand. Isn't there a saying? Ghosts are afraid of evildoers. Evildoers like you are naturally not afraid of ghosts." Yun Chujio couldn't be bothered with this idiot. The so-called fear of ghosts was nothing more than the fear of unknown dangers. Just like when she was in the Yun family's ancestral tomb, she was not afraid of the so-called ghosts, but she was afraid that someone was playing tricks. The reason why she let Jarni stay here every night from now on was to verify whether the people who lived here would suffer from chi deviation. Yun Chujio's restriction on Jia Rinai's spiritual power had a time limit. Therefore, the next morning, Jarni scrambled out of the haunted house. He did not return to the sword hall. Instead, he ran to the nameless sword sex medical center. Chapter 38:22 Sect Mission. Jarni had spent a lot of sect contribution points to get several disciples in the medical center to treat him. However, everyone said that other than some external injuries, his body was normal and there was nothing wrong with it. Jarni was about to cry. "I'm really poisoned. How can there be nothing wrong?" The disciples of the medical center looked at him as if he was a fool, and then no one paid him any attention. Jarni had no choice but to leave the medical center with a sad face. He had just arrived at the sword hall when he was stopped by Luo Hai. "I heard that you were beaten up by that stinky girl last night. You're a piece of trash. Can't you even pretend to be a ghost?" Jarni explained a few things in a submissive manner, but he subconsciously hid the poison and the fact that Yun Chujio asked him to stay there at night. Luo Hai kicked him and scolded him for being useless, then he turned around and left. Jia Renai's heart was filled with resentment. This Luo Hai and that Yu Bo had always bullied him. The last time he instigated Yun Chujio to accept the mission on the second floor of the Bounty Hall, he originally wanted to look for Martial Uncle Wan to take credit, but he let this Luo Hai and Yu Bo replace him. Later on, Yun Chujio came back alive. He heard that Martial Uncle Wan had taught them a lesson. They deserved it. In the evening, Jarni was very restless in his own residence. Should he go to the haunted house or not? At this moment he felt a faint pain in his dantian. His face could not help but turn pale. It seemed that what Yun Chujio said was true. The poison she had given him was really an exclusive secret medicine. In the end, Jarni still took his time to arrive at the haunted house. After all, compared to losing his life, chi deviation was better. Moreover, it might not be true chi deviation. When Buttface saw Jarni coming over, his dog eyes couldn't help but light up. He had finally found a fun toy. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Jarni was really unlucky. He had been chased by Buttface in the yard for half a night. It was simply a life worse than death. For a few nights in a row, Jarni stayed in Yun Chujio's yard. Other than being tortured by Buttface, there was nothing unusual. Yun Chujio deliberately let him compete with her in sword fights, but she did not find anything unusual. She also did not feel the sudden killing intent. What was going on? If an ordinary person had such worries, they would probably not be able to eat or sleep well. However, Hei Shinjio had always been ambitious. After pondering for a few days and seeing that there was no progress, she threw it to the back of her mind. On this day, Hei Shinjio was cultivating in her room. Her identity jade tablet started to tremble. After she used her spiritual sense to probe, she found that it was a message from the Bounty Hall, asking all the outer sect disciples to go to the Bounty Hall to receive sect missions. Yun Chujio could not help but twitch her lips. The Nameless Sword sect was really smart. Although the outer and inner sect disciples could receive the sect's resources on time, there was one thing that was really annoying, which was that they had to do the sect's mission every once in a while, and they could not refuse it. If they completed it, there would be a corresponding reward. If they failed, they would be punished, and in severe cases, they would be demoted to odd jobs. Therefore, all the sect disciples did their best when carrying out the sect's mission. This was also why many disciples were willing to become disciples of the Sword Forging Hall. This was because the mission of the Sword Forging Hall was more than half of that of an ordinary outer sect disciple, so it was naturally less risky. Yun Chujio grumbled in her heart as she slowly walked towards the Bounty Hall. There were so many outer sect disciples anyway, so they could not complete the mission in such a short time. It did not matter whether it was earlier or later. Chapter 3823. People who went on missions together. When Yun Chujio strolled to the Bounty Hall, most of the outer disciples had already been assigned tasks. These tasks were assigned by the manager of the Bounty Hall in advance. They were only called over to collect the mission files so that they could understand the specific situation of the mission. Yun Chujio opened her own mission file and looked at it. The corners of her mouth could not help but curl up. It was interesting. It seemed that some people were really courting death. There were 2 old acquaintances in the list of disciples on the mission file. They were Luo Hai and Yu Bo. Yun Chujio didn't believe that this was a coincidence. Someone must have deliberately arranged it. Otherwise, how could a newbie like her be paired with Luo Hai and the others? This was obviously abnormal. It seemed that Luo Hai and Yu Bo planned to kill her when they were doing the mission. After all, once they were out of the sect, it would be much more convenient to make a move. A trace of viciousness flashed across Yun Chujio's eyes. Want to kill her? It was a good opportunity to kill these 2 eyesores so that they wouldn't cause trouble for her in the future. Yun Chujio looked at the names of the disciples in the other groups, but she didn't have any impression of them. She didn't know if they were Luo Hai's people. Yun Chujio glanced at the contents of the mission again and went to the Luoyan mountain to investigate the reason for the sudden decline in the production of refined iron ore. The Nameless Sword sect had a large number of forging swords, so they had a huge demand for refined iron ore. As a result, the Nameless Sword sect had many mines under their name. The iron ore in the fallen Goose Mountain could only be considered medium-sized among these mines. There had been no problems all along, but the quantity of refined iron ore sent over recently had suddenly decreased. Manor Master Sima, who was in charge of the fallen Goose Mountain, explained that there had been a fault in the mine with a small amount of refined iron ore. They could only continue mining after the fault had been fully exploited, which was why the production had suddenly decreased. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Refined iron ore was extremely important to the Nameless Sword sect. Even though they did not have any doubts about it, they still decided to send their disciples to check it out. Yun Chujio did not take this mission to heart. She felt that there was nothing to be done about it. The reason why Luo Hai and Yu Bo chose this mission was because they wanted to kill her. Naturally, they would not accept a sect mission that was too difficult. As the departure time was the next morning, after Yun Chujio left the Bounty Hall, she went straight to Sword Forging Hall number 9. When Hall Master Zhuge saw Yun Chujio coming over, although he still had a straight face, it was not difficult to see that he was still very happy to see Yun Chujio coming over. Yun Chujio babbled about the matter of going out to do a sect mission. Zhuge Dong said worriedly, "Junior sister Yun, Luo Hai and Yu Bo are on good terms with Wan Pengqing. I'm afraid it will be disadvantageous for you." Yun Chujio laughed lightly. "Don't worry. Those two idiots are not my match." Hall Master Zhuge glared at her unhappily. "Their spiritual powers are much higher than yours. Moreover, they are working together. Don't let your guard down." Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and only smiled without saying a word. Hall Master Zhuge knew that the little girl in front of him had an idea, so he did not say anything more. Instead, Zhuge Dong reminded her again, "Junior sister Yun, that Mu Jiang has a good character. You can get closer to him and be considered a helper. It is said that Zhao Hui is very tactful. He is probably a fence-sitter. You have to be on your guard. Perhaps he has already been bribed by Luo Hai and Yu Bo. As for the other three, I don't have much contact with them and I haven't heard any rumors, so you can observe them again." Chapter 38-24. Mu Jiang. Yun Chujio nodded obediently and agreed. After chatting for a while, she left the number 9 Sword Forging Hall. As soon as Yun Chujio arrived at her courtyard, Jia Rini rushed over. "Junior sister Yun, I heard that you're going on a sect mission with Luo Hai and the others? You have to be careful. I saw Uncle Master Wan talking to them for quite a while yesterday, and I vaguely heard your name a few times." Yun Chujio naturally knew the purpose of Jia Rini's words. She was afraid that if she died outside, the poison in his body would not be able to be cured. Yun Chujio took out a pill from her storage ring and handed it to Jia Rini. "Eat this pill. The poison won't take effect for at least 3 months." Jia Rini originally wanted to put away the pill and let the people of the medical center take a look. However, under Yun Chujio's cold gaze, he had no choice but to sadly swallow the pill. "While I'm away, help me keep an eye out for news regarding the number 9 Forging Sword Hall and Zhang Li. If you do well, I'll detoxify you when I come back." Although Jia Rini was puzzled as to why Yun Chujio would pay attention to the news about Zhang Li, he still readily agreed. The next day, Yun Chujio arrived outside the Nameless Sword sect's mountain gate according to the agreed time. At this time, there were already many outer sect disciples gathered outside the gate. After the members of the group had gathered, they immediately flew their flying spirit tools and left. Yun Chujio was looking around when she heard a displeased voice. "Yun Chujio, why aren't you on time at all? We agreed to meet here at midnight, why are you only here now?" Yun Chujio followed the voice and saw that it was Luo Hai who spoke. Yun Chujio's heart skipped a beat. Yesterday, the manager of the Bounty Hall had informed her that the time was 25 minutes past midnight. It seemed like he did it on purpose. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. She walked up to Luo Hai and did not explain further. It was better to not talk about things that could be done. Luo Hai saw that Yun Chujio looked like a dead pig that was not afraid of boiling water. His expression became even more contemptuous. "If it wasn't for the fact that your spiritual power is too low and I'm afraid that you won't be able to complete the sect's mission, the higher-ups wouldn't have assigned you to our group. I didn't expect you to not be punctual. You're really a burden." Yun Chujio glanced at him. Senior brother Luo, if you continue to give a long speech, you'll waste even more time. Luo Hai choked and snorted coldly. He did not introduce the members of the group to Yun Chujio. He directly summoned his flying spiritual weapon and waited for everyone to go up before leaving the Nameless Sword sect. As Yun Chujio's unpunctuality had delayed everyone's journey, the others in the group treated her very coldly. However, one of the loyal-looking disciples nodded slightly at Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio was slightly stunned. It was actually him? When Yun Chujio came to the Nameless Sword sect and prepared to risk her life to ascend to heaven, there was once a loyal-looking disciple who tried to dissuade her. It was this disciple in front of her. Yun Chujio had a good impression of this disciple. She smiled and said, "May I know how to address this senior brother?" "Junior sister Yun, Mu Jiang. We met once when you entered the sect," Mu Jiang said with a simple and honest smile. So he was Mu Jiang? Senior brother Dong was right. Mu Jiang was obviously a good person. "Senior brother Mu, can you help me introduce the other senior brothers?" Yun Chujio was best at following the flow. Seeing that Mu Jiang was easy to talk to, she said with a smile. Mu Jiang nodded and helped Yun Chujio introduce the remaining 4 people, Zhao Hui, Tao Zhong, Wu Dali, and Chen Chao. When Mu Jiang introduced them, other than Zhao Hui who smiled and nodded, the other 3 male disciples all looked like they did not care about Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio did not mind it. If she had to live off others' expressions, she would have died 1,000 times already. Along the way, Luo Hai and Yu Bo had repeatedly slandered Yun Chujio, intentionally or unintentionally. It was nothing more than words like not being punctual and having low spiritual power that would drag everyone down. This made Tao Zhong and the others even more dissatisfied with Yun Chujio. Tao Zhong glanced at Yun Chujio with disgust, then he said, "Yun Chujio, no matter how much you torment us in the sect, it has nothing to do with us. But this sect mission concerns our vital interests. If it's because of you that we didn't complete the sect mission, then don't blame us for not being polite." Yun Chujio looked at him indifferently. "Don't worry, I'm a very lazy person. I won't cause trouble." Tao Zhong snorted. "That's for the best. Otherwise, don't blame us for ignoring you when you're in danger." Seeing that the atmosphere was a little awkward, Zhao Hui quickly changed the topic. Yun Chujio couldn't be bothered to argue with a bunch of idiots, so this matter was over. After a few days of flying and walking through a valley where flying was prohibited, the group finally arrived at the Fallen Goose Villa. Manor Master Sima of the Fallen Goose Mountain Villa warmly let Yun Chujio and the others into the villa, and his attitude was very respectful. Actually, this was understandable. The Fallen Goose Mountain Villa was a small force that relied on the Nameless Sword sect, so they naturally would lower their stance. As the small leader of the group, Luo Hai put on a good show. After some small talk, they finally got to the main topic. "Manor Master Sima, tell me in detail about the refined iron mine." Manor Master Sima's originally smiling face was instantly filled with worry. "My lords, to tell you the truth, I've been really worried to death recently. Originally, the Luo Yen Mountain iron mine under our management had always been smooth sailing. But recently, we were unlucky enough to mine into a fault. Although there are refined iron ores in it, the distribution is very scattered, and it's very hard. Not to mention the time and effort it takes. The output has decreased drastically. I don't even have the face to meet all of you." Luo Hai said casually, "Manor Master Sima, you don't have to blame yourself too much. This is something that cannot be helped. If the situation is true, I believe that the sect will not blame you." Manor Master Sima said some polite words with gratitude and then said, "All of you have worked hard on the journey. Let's rest for the night first. Tomorrow I will accompany all of you to the mine to check it out, okay?" Luo Hai nodded his head and agreed without the slightest hesitation. He felt that the mission this time was too simple. After the mission was completed, he would create some accidents on the way back and kill that Yun Chujio. Everything would be fine. Manor Master Sima was very enthusiastic. Regardless of whether it was the food or the accommodation, they were all meticulously arranged. No one could find any fault with them. The mine was still tens of miles away from the Wild Goose Down mountain village. Due to the ban on flying, everyone could only take the carriage of the Wild Goose Down mountain village to head there. Yun Chujio sat in the carriage, nibbling on a fruit as she looked at the scenery on both sides of the road. Tao Zhong coldly snorted in disdain. Some people are really lucky. On their first mission, they can execute it together with senior brother Luo. They don't have to put in any effort. As long as they follow, they can earn contribution points. Wu Dali and Qian Chao also chimed in. Their words were full of ridicule for Yun Chujio's luck. Yun Chujio acted as if she had heard a dog barking and did not even look at the three of them. Tao Zhong talked for a long time but did not see Yun Chujio reply. He could not help but become angry from embarrassment. Yun Chujio, are you deaf or mute? Did you not hear what I said? Chapter 38:26. I want to go to the toilet. Just as Yun Chujio was about to teach him how to speak in human language, her eyes that were looking at the scenery outside suddenly shrank, and she looked outside carefully. Tao Zhong was about to flare up when Mu Jiang said with a simple and honest smile, "Junior brother Tao, junior sister Yun is still young. She can't help but be a little curious when she sees the scenery here. She didn't mean to ignore you." Zhao Hui also said with a smile, "Junior brother Tao, it's still more important for us to complete the sex mission. Let's not argue with junior sister Yun." Tao Zhong saw that Mu Jiang and Zhao Hui had come out to smooth things over and felt that he had earned enough face. He pursed his lips and said, "Yun Chujio, since you're not saying anything, then do you tacitly agree with what we said? You're a waste. You're just a burden." Tao Zhong saw that Yun Chujio still did not say anything, and he looked even more pleased. He thought that she was afraid of him. Don't look at how she was showing off in the sect. Once she left the sect, she would be afraid. Mu Jiang shook his head. He really did not understand why Tao Zhong and the others were targeting Yun Chujio. Although there were some rumors in the sect that junior sister Yun was always causing trouble, after interacting with her for the past few days, this junior sister Yun was very obedient. It seemed that the rumors couldn't be completely believed. Right at this moment, Yun Chujio shouted loudly, "Stop the car! Stop the car! I want to go to the toilet. I can't hold it anymore." Mu Jiang, not to mention Mu Jiang, even Tao Zhong and the others who looked down on Yun Chujio were dumbfounded. Was it really all right for a girl to be so wild? After the coachman consulted Manor Master Sima, he parked the carriage by the side of the road. Yun Chujio clutched her stomach and got out of the carriage. Then she went into the small forest by the side. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Tao Zhong curled his lips in disdain and said to everyone, "Not only does this Yun Chujio have low spiritual power, but her words and actions are also vulgar. She is simply a disgrace to our nameless sword sect." Wu Dali and Qian Chao also chimed in with a few sarcastic remarks. After a long while, Yun Chujio did not return. Tao Zhong said even more disdainfully, "Look, I already said that this Yun Chujio is a hindrance. It has been so long since she went to the toilet. What's the use of such trash?" Mu Jiang frowned. It had indeed been a long time. He quickly got off the carriage and wanted to check it out. However, he was a man, so he could not go in to look for her. He could only stand at the edge of the small forest and shout a few times. Fortunately, Yun Chujio's response came from the forest very quickly. Mu Jiang was slightly relieved. As long as nothing happened, it was good. Not long after, Yun Chujio came out with a smile. She held a few branches with red wild fruits in her hands and handed one to Mu Jiang. "Senior brother Mu, these wild fruits are very sweet. Take it and eat." Mu Jiang was speechless. Why did the last toilet bring back these wild fruits? Luo Hai and Yu Bo sat in another carriage. The two of them looked at each other. This Yun Chujio was really courting death. The more she acted like this, the worse Tao Zhong and the others' impression of her would be. When that time came, it would be easier for them to find an opportunity to attack. Moreover, after returning to the sect, Tao Zhong and the others would not say anything. As expected, after Yun Chujio returned to the carriage, Tao Zhong and the others mocked her again. They almost pointed at Yun Chujio's nose and scolded her. Zhao Hui watched from the side coldly. He was very puzzled. This Yun Chujio even dared to beat up Elder Wan's grandson. Why would she swallow her anger this time? This was too unlike her style of doing things. Zhao Hui had a good relationship with the sect and was well informed. He naturally knew that during this mission, Luo Hai and Yu Bo would probably attack Yun Chujio. However, he did not know whether to stand by and do nothing or help this little girl. He had to think about it again. Chapter 38:27 The Smell of Blood. Very soon, the carriage arrived at the Luo Yen mountain mine. Manor Master Sima accompanied Yun Chujio and the others into the mine. As they walked, he explained the situation of the mine. After walking for a while, the group arrived at the place where they were mining. As expected, there were some faults. Seeing this, Luo Hai said to Manor Master Sima, "It seems that what you said is the truth. We will report it to the sect truthfully. You don't have to worry too much. After these faults are fully mined, the output will naturally increase." Manor Master Sima thanked him profusely again and accompanied everyone out. To Zhong suddenly frowned. "Manor Master Sima, why do I smell a bloody smell?" Manor Master Sima looked at Tao Zhong in confusion and sniffed. "No, what Lord Tao Zhong smells is the smell of refined iron ore, right?" Tao Zhong sniffed again. "That's not right. My sense of smell has always been more sensitive than ordinary people. This is not the smell of refined iron ore, it's clearly the smell of fresh blood." Tao Zhong sniffed a few more steps as he spoke. Then he pointed at a spot in the mine and said, "The smell of blood seems to come from this place. The closer you get, the stronger the smell." Mu Jiang was honest. He quickly went over and said in surprise, "It's true. I really didn't pay much attention just now. When we get closer, there is indeed a smell of blood." Luo Hai and Yu Bo also walked closer and smelled it. Their faces couldn't help but change slightly. There really was a bloody smell. Without waiting for Manor Master Sima to explain, Yun Chujio rushed to say, "Aya, what bloody smell? This is the smell of refined iron ore. I smelled this smell in Sword Forging Hall number 9. The quality of refined iron ore is not pure. This is the smell. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks, let's go. It's more important to return to the sect to report our mission. If we have the time, we might as well return to the sect to practice our sword skills." Manor Master Sima also said from the side, "Yes, Lord Yun is right. This is the smell of refined iron ore with impure quality. How can this fine mine have the smell of blood?" Luo Hai nodded when he heard that. He believed what Manor Master Sima and Yun Chujio said. That's right. This was a mine. How could there be the smell of blood? Unexpectedly, Tao Zhong glared fiercely at Yun Chujio. "What do you trash know? This is clearly the smell of blood." Luo Hai frowned. "Junior brother Tao, it's true that you occasionally smell wrongly. Let's go. It's more important for us to hurry back to the sect." Unexpectedly, Tao Zhong snatched a miner's pickaxe and dug a few times. An even stronger smell of blood came from the mine. Tao Zhong was about to continue digging when Yun Chujio suddenly came forward and grabbed his arm. She threw the pickaxe to the side and said, "Senior brother Tao, did you not sleep well yesterday? Why are you talking nonsense? Go, let's hurry back to the sect." Tao Zhong did not notice that Yun Chujio had hit his mute acupoint. He was so angry that his face turned red, but he could not say a word. Zhao Hu's eyes suddenly shrank. He quickly came over to hold Tao Zhong's other arm and said, "That's right. This is clearly the smell of refined iron ore. Let's return to the sect to report our mission." Luo Hai and Yu Bo seemed to have thought of something. They laughed and said, "Manor Master Sima, this junior brother of mine has been having a fever recently. His brain is not very good. We will take our leave and return to the sect now." Although Mu Jiang did not know what had happened, he followed behind everyone and prepared to leave the mine. Manor Master Sima's expression was as usual as he said with a smile, "My lords, why don't we stay at the mountain villa for a night before leaving?" Chapter 38:28 and so on. No, we still have to rush back to the sect to report our mission. If there's a chance in the future, well, come and bother Manor Master Sima again. Although Luo Hai's tone was still rather calm, his forehead was covered with fine beads of sweat. Seeing this, Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. Fuck, a bunch of trash. If it wasn't for the fact that she couldn't escape on her own, she wouldn't have cared about these idiots. The smile on Manor Master Sima's face was still the same as before. Since that's the case, I won't keep you any longer. I'll send you off. When Manor Master Sima said, "I'll send you off," there was an indescribable strangeness in his tone that made people feel very uncomfortable. Luo Hai couldn't be bothered to think too much and nodded his head perfunctorily. At this moment, even the slowest Mu Jiang felt that something wasn't right. Only Tao Zhong was still struggling nonstop. Zhao Hui directly restrained his spiritual power and dragged him out. When everyone left the mine, Luo Hai and Yu Bo did not put on airs like when they came. They took the initiative to invite Mu Jiang and Zhao Hui to their carriage. Unexpectedly, Mu Jiang rejected with a silly smile. He had a hunch that something was going to happen, and Yun Chujia's spiritual power was the weakest. He felt that it was better to sit with Yun Chujio. Zhao Hu's eyes flashed, and he also rejected Luo Hai's invitation. Luo Hai and Yu Bo could not help but feel a little angry. In the end, they let Wu Dali and Qian Chao, whose spiritual power was slightly weaker, get into their carriage. Manor Master Sima had been watching from the side with a faint smile on his face, but the smile did not reach his eyes. After everyone got into the carriage, the convoy set off. Inside the carriage, Zhao Hui hesitated for a moment, but still took out a piece of paper and pen to write 2 words and handed it to Yun Chujio. "Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site." Thanks. Yun Chujio saw the 2 words, "Is there a trap?" and thought to herself that this Zhao Hui was indeed much smarter than those people. Otherwise, he wouldn't have helped her subdue Tao Zhong in the first place. Yun Chujio didn't say anything and nodded at him. Zhao Hui took out a pen and paper to write, "What should we do?" And Yun Chujio picked up a pen to write a word, "Wait." Zhao Hui looked at the dog-like word, "Wait." His heart was like a beeping dog. This was equivalent to not saying anything, okay? He glared at Tao Zhong again without leaving a trace. It was all because of this good-for-nothing who could not accomplish anything. Yun Chujio had already made things clear, but he insisted on saying that there was a smell of blood. He was afraid that this matter could not be resolved. Tao Zhong more or less understood the intention of Yun Chujio and Zhao Hui. However, he felt that the 2 of them were making a fuss over nothing. Perhaps it was just a trivial matter. At this moment he smelled a faint fragrance. However, before he could make any gesture, he already did not know anything. Yun Chujio looked at the 3 people who fainted in the car and was speechless. When she came here, she realized that something was wrong. Logically speaking, there should be some small-sized demon beasts on both sides of the road, but she didn't see any. Even if the demon beasts were afraid that humans wouldn't appear, there should be claw marks or feces marks on the ground, but there weren't any. This was too abnormal. She took the opportunity to go to the latrine and caught a spirit bee. The news she received was that about a month ago, all the demonic beasts ran towards the mine ahead, but none of them came back. Yun Chujio felt that there must be something fishy about this. Just as she was about to run back to report the news, she found that there were people from the Sunset Villa guarding the other end of the forest, so she had no choice but to break a few wild fruits. Chapter 38-29. Evil formation reappeared. Yun Chujio originally had a sliver of hope in her heart. After arriving at the mine, she should be fine after giving a few perfunctory words and leaving immediately. Who would have thought that that idiot Tao Zhong would make such a big fuss out of it? He was simply courting death. Bai Li and the others were not allowed to fly within a few hundred li of the Sunset Glow Villa. Furthermore, there was no way to use the talisman, so there was no way to send a message back to the sect quickly. How could they be a match for Manor Master Sima and the others just by relying on them? Yun Chujio gave the antidote to the sleeping powder to the 3 of them. After the 3 of them woke up, Tao Zhong was just about to speak when he was scared back by Yun Chujio's fierce gaze. At this moment, a sound came from outside the carriage. Yun Chujio gave the 3 of them a look. The 3 of them understood and restrained their auras. They closed their eyes and pretended to be unconscious. The curtain of the carriage was lifted and then put down. A voice came from outside. "Manor Master, they have all fainted. Why don't we kill them now?" "No, turn around and bring them to the blood pool. The blood of cultivators will be more effective," Manor Master Sima said coldly. The carriage turned around and went back to the mine. In fact, it didn't go far, so a moment later, the carriage entered the mine again. During this time, Tao Zhong wanted to speak a few times. In order to prevent him from doing bad things, Yun Chujio directly cut him unconscious with a knife. Seeing this, Zhao Hui and Mu Jiang were extremely obedient. They closed their eyes and pretended to be dead. Yun Chujio did not dare to peek, but she heard a clang in her ears. It must have opened the so-called entrance to the blood pool. Following that, someone dragged Yun Chujio and the others out of the carriage like dead dogs. Hei Xinjiao endured it and did not say a word. She hated in her heart. Damn it, it's not too late for little Jio to take revenge. You guys will suffer in a while. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Yun Chujio soon smelled a strong smell of blood. She opened her eyes slightly. Although she could not see the whole picture, she saw many people and demonic beasts fixed on the wall. The blood in her body flowed to a certain place. Although Yun Chujio could only see a tiny bit of the scene, she had seen this situation once in the Longping Mountain of the Qingxian continent. She knew that this was the evil formation used by the godly demon palace to search for the Eye of Earth Profound. When she heard that all the demonic beasts had gone missing, she had already had such a guess in her heart. She did not expect that it was really so. Her heart was a little heavy. It seemed that the divine devil hall had already infiltrated all the continents. However, these people did not seem to know her. Otherwise, based on the hatred the divine devil hall had for her, they would have already killed her on the horse carriage. Perhaps they only knew her name but did not know her appearance. That was why they were like this? Just as Yun Chujio was slightly distracted, she was ruthlessly thrown onto the ground. Someone shouted, "I've sent you a few more fresh ones. Moreover, they are disciples of the nameless sword sect." Very good. Their spiritual power is of a high level, and the spiritual energy in their blood is even denser. Fix them to the wall. Just as Zhuang Ding bent down to pull Yun Chujio suddenly attacked and killed the man with a kitchen knife. At the same time, Mu Jiang and Zhao Hui also moved. Mu Jiang's spiritual power was slightly higher, so he dealt with the two Zhuang Ding in front of him alone, while Zhao Hui splashed Tao Zhong, Luo Hai, and the others awake with cold water. The Zhuang Ding did not expect that the unconscious man would suddenly attack them, so they let Yun Chujio and the others succeed. However, they quickly reacted and surrounded Yun Chujio and the others in the middle. Chapter 38:30 Competition. When Luo Hai and the others saw the scene in front of them, their legs couldn't help but go weak. This place seemed to be a huge stone room, and in the middle of it was a large array. In the middle of it was carved a huge spider lily, and around it were several array leaves. On top of it were drawn complicated ancient runes. Tens of thousands of demon beasts and humans were fixed to the ground and suspended in the air. They weren't dead, but the blood in their bodies was continuously pouring into the blood pool around the array board. This formation disc was not activated by spirit stones, but by the blood and life force of the demonic beasts. It was truly frightening. At this moment, they were surrounded by dozens of people. Those people were all wearing the clothes of the Zhuang Ding of the Sunset Manor. At this moment, they no longer had their previous humility, and their faces were filled with a ferocious killing intent. Just as Luo Hai and the others were still in shock. A small leader inside the Zhuang Ding sneered, "I didn't expect that you guys would not fall for it. This is good too. Let us experience the abilities of the so-called disciples of the big sects. Which one of you will compete with my men?" The small leader was sure that Yun Chujio and the others would not be able to escape even if they had wings. Therefore, he was not worried that they would be able to escape, and he had the intention to play with them. Luo Hai's eyes flashed and he snorted coldly, "With just you guys? Even our junior sister Yun, who has the weakest spiritual power, is much stronger than you guys. Junior sister Yun, you should teach them a lesson." Hearing Luo Hai's words, Yun Chujio was angry and happy. A person who was stupid to a certain extent could not be saved. At this time, shouldn't they work together to escape? Even if they wanted to kill her, they should have done so after they escaped, right? Zhao Hui frowned. If he had known this would happen, he wouldn't have saved Luo Hai and Yubo. At this time, they were still fighting among themselves. It was simply too stupid. That small leader had an expression of wanting to watch a good show. Yo, then let's invite Lord Yun to spar with my subordinates. However, the Nameless Sword sect actually still has trash at the 9th level of the spirit transformation realm. It's really surprising. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Those Zhuangding also laughed along. They were like cats playing with mice. Mu Jiang frowned and blocked in front of Yun Chujio. Junior sister Yun, let me do it. Yun Chujio smiled and shook her head at him. No need, let me do it. Who asked me to be the most useless? However, Yun Chujio used Mu Jiang's cover to wink at Zhao Hui. Zhao Hui nodded his head subtly. Yun Chujio was glad that there was a smart person in the team, or else it would be even worse. Yun Chujio said with disdain, although I'm the weakest, I have no problem dealing with scum like you. Give me some space, or else I won't be able to use it. The leader curled his lips. This stinky girl's spiritual power was not that great, but her tone was not small. He waved his hand, and the Zhuangding men stepped back to make way for him. A strong and stocky Zhuangding walked to the middle with his lips curled. Little girl, I advise you to obediently surrender. Otherwise, you will suffer. Yun Chujio pointed at the humans and demonic beasts that were fixed to the wall and said, no matter how bitter it is, how can it be as bitter as theirs? You are really not human. You actually destroyed humanity for your own selfish reasons. Do you still have the face to live? The burly man was immediately angered from embarrassment. Damn girl. It was fine if you had obediently become a blood bull, but you just had to be so sharp-tongued. When I catch you, I will teach you a lesson. Chapter 38-31. Are you Yun Chujio? Don't talk nonsense if you can fight. I'll let you experience the Nameless Sword sect's swordsmanship today. Yun Chujio said as she casually pulled out a treasure sword from her storage ring and stabbed it at the brawny man. The brawny man naturally didn't think much of Yun Chujio. She was just a little girl at the 9th level of the spirit transformation realm. How powerful could she be? He would be able to take her down in a few rounds. Therefore, the burly man was rather careless in dodging. Who would have thought that Yun Chujio's sword move was fake? The moment the burly man dodged, the direction of the sword suddenly changed and stabbed towards the front of the burly man. Although the burly man relied on the spiritual energy barrier to dodge this sword move, he was in a rather sorry state. Under the crowd's jeering, he became angry from embarrassment and fought with Yun Chujio. During the fight between Yun Chujio and the burly man, it was inevitable that they would shift the battlefield. Under Yun Chujio's intentional guidance, some people who were originally guarding the door moved to the side. Yun Chujio gave Zhao Hui a look. Zhao Hui immediately understood and led Mu Jiang and Tao Zhong to the exit. Their goal was not to escape, but to guard the exit. Zhao Hui was quick-witted. He completely understood Yun Chujio's intention. By guarding the exit, the people inside would not be able to go out and deliver the message. There were dozens of people inside. They had a chance of winning if they risked their lives, but if they let the people outside in, they would be dead for sure. Zhuangding's little leader was stunned at first, then he sneered. He also understood Zhao Hu's intention, but he did not take it to heart. It was easy for them to kill these 8 people. Seeing that Zhao Hui and the other 2 had succeeded, Yun Chujio did not have the mood to waste time with the burly man anymore. Her sword suddenly sped up. Before the burly man could react, he was stabbed in the throat by a sword move that Yun Chujio created herself. She was dead. Taking advantage of the moment when everyone was stunned, Yun Chujio took out a few big sacks from her storage ring and threw them at the Zhuangding opposite her. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. In an instant, the air was filled with the comfortable smell of the chili dough. Yun Chujio raised her spiritual energy shield at the same time as she threw it, so she was not hindered at all. While releasing De Hua, she struck the Zhuangding with lightning. Zhao Hui and the other two were quite far away from Yun Chujio, so there was no hindrance. Luo Hai and the other three were miserable. Their faces were also covered by the chili dough, and their snot was choked until they cried. Luo Hai secretly hated in his heart. When they escaped, he would definitely think of a way to persuade the three of them to kill this Yun Chujio. However, he was quickly shocked by the dehua that Yun Chujio released. Even though this stone room was very spacious, Dehua's huge body almost reached the ceiling of the stone room. The Zhuangding was also shocked by Dehua and Yun Chujio's lightning. The small leader's eyes suddenly shrank. You are Yun Chujio? Yun Chujio did not have the time to waste with him. She was conflicted as to whether to release the other dumb cuties and puppets. If she was alone, she would naturally choose to release them all. However, she was not familiar with Zhao Hui and the others, so it was very likely that there would be trouble in the future. She gritted her teeth and decided to take a look first. If it did not work, she could only release them. However, Yun Chujio's eyes soon lit up. There were many humans and demonic beasts fixed on the stone wall. Although the humans and demonic beasts didn't seem to have much vitality left, there were some high-level demonic beasts that looked alright. If they were rescued, then these people wouldn't be worth being afraid of. When Yun Chujio thought of this, she asked Dehua to block the servants who attacked her while she summoned her kitchen knife to cut the chains that trapped the demonic beasts. She chose the demonic beasts that had stronger vitality and said while cutting, "If you want to save your lives, help us kill the people who captured you. Otherwise, none of us will survive." Although those demonic beasts were weak, their desire to survive had gained the upper hand and they immediately joined the battle. With the help of these demonic beasts, Yun Chujio's side quickly gained the upper hand. Zhuangding's little leader's expression changed drastically. He wanted to lead his men to rush out of the door, but Zhao Hui and the other two, along with Dehua, guarded the exit firmly. There was no way for them to rush out. At this moment, Zhao Hui was extremely impressed with Yun Chujio. Fortunately, junior sister Yun had predicted everything. Otherwise, if these people ran out, they would really have no way of surviving. After a quarter of an hour, except for that little leader, all of Zhuangding were dead. Yun Chujio did not have the time to interrogate the little leader and directly performed a soul search. Yun Chujio could not help but frown. Although the little leader's knowledge was limited, he still knew the military arrangements of the mine like the back of his hand. There were at least 1,000 people in this mine. If they were to rush out now, they would simply be courting death. Moreover, Manor Master Sima, who was outside, hadn't been able to wait for these people to leave. He reckoned that he would soon become suspicious and send people in to investigate. When that time came, they would be exposed. Yun Chujio told everyone about the information she had received. Luo Hai said unhappily, "Yun Chujio, aren't you being too selfish? Why didn't you interrogate them publicly and insist on performing a soul search? Are you playing some tricks? Also, that person just called out your name. Are these people targeting you?" Everyone, you've seen the current situation. It's as difficult as ascending to the heavens if we want to escape. Since those people are targeting Yun Chujio, why don't we use Yun Chujio as a condition in exchange? Then we can escape. Yubo also echoed from the side, "That's right. This Yun Chujio is famous for causing trouble. Perhaps she offended someone in the southern continent. We can definitely escape by using her as a condition. Moreover, those people might not kill her. When the time comes, we will return to the sect and bring people to save her. What do you think?" Yun Chujio's eyes deepened. She did not explain. Instead, she looked at the other 5 people and asked, "What do you think?" Wu Dali and Qian Chao looked at each other. Although the spiritual beast that Yun Chujio released seemed to be quite powerful, Yun Chujio's spiritual power was limited after all. It was safer for her to rely on Luo Hai and Yubo. Moreover, when that small leader found out about Yun Chujio's identity, he was very shocked. There must be something fishy going on. Thus, the two of them said dryly, "Junior sister Yun, we don't have any other way to escape now, so we'll have to trouble you, Pan, Thin 0v1. See, Tao Zhong's hand clenched and then loosened. In the end, he gritted his teeth and said, "Although I don't like Yun Chujio, she is after all a disciple of our nameless sword sect. I don't agree to use her in exchange." Once Tao Zhong said that, not to mention Luo Hai and the others, even Hei Xinjiu looked at Tao Zhong in astonishment. She could not help but feel a little dumbfounded. Although this Tao Zhong was a little arrogant and a little stupid, at least he still had some conscience. Luo Hai snorted coldly, "Tao Zhong, if it weren't for your obstinacy this time, we wouldn't have fallen into danger. Since you don't agree, then you and Yun Chujio can be hostages together." The reason why Luo Hai said this was to give Mu Jiang and Zhao Hui a deterrent, wanting them to stand on their side. When Tao Zhong heard Luo Hai's words, he looked at Luo Hai and Yu Bo, who had a look of agreement on their faces. His face was ashen. Luo Hai was getting impatient from waiting. He raised his voice, "Junior brother Zhao, junior brother Mu, what do you say?" Mu Jiang's face was slightly red, and his voice was stuttering due to his excitement. "Senior brother Luo, if it wasn't for junior sister Yun, we would have died long ago. How could you sacrifice junior sister Yun? I don't agree." Luo Hai's face immediately turned ugly. He looked at Zhao Hui again. As long as Zhao Hui stood on their side, they would still be able to secure victory. "Junior brother Zhao, as long as you agree with us, I can promise you that when we return to the sect, there will definitely be great benefits." Luo Hai promised. Unexpectedly, Zhao Hui straightforwardly said, "Senior brother Luo, I think Mu Jiang is right. If it wasn't for junior sister Yun, we would have died here long ago. Let's work together to think of a way to escape. Don't say anything about hostages or not hostages anymore." The expressions of Luo Hai, Yu Bo, and the other three immediately turned ugly. Luo Hai's expression changed a few times, and then he laughed dryly. "All right, I was just testing everyone just now." "Very good, everyone has remembered the sect's rules. Then let's discuss the next step." Yu Bo also echoed from the side, Right, we can't kill each other at any time. We have to be united against the outside world. Junior sister Yun, you want to take it seriously, right?" Yun Chujio curled her lips. "Of course I want to take it seriously. Everyone, take some pills first to replenish your strength. Then we can discuss the countermeasures. We'll take a look at the situation of those demonic beasts." Luo Hai and Yu Bo looked at each other. She didn't dare to have any objections. Sooner or later, she would find an opportunity to get rid of her. Thus, Luo Hai and the others gathered together to discuss the countermeasures. Yun Chujio fed the demonic beasts some healing pills and put down some of the demonic beasts that were still alive. After a moment, a few huge demonic beasts suddenly attacked Luo Hai and the others. Mu Jiang was shocked and was about to go forward to help, but he was stopped by Zhao Hui. Then he pointed his chin at Yun Chujio, who was not far away. Only then did Mu Jiang realize that the demonic beasts were only attacking Luo Hai and the others, not the three of them. Could it be that the demonic beasts were instigated by junior sister Yun? How is this possible? Also, what did junior sister Yun want to do? Yes, was she going to kill Luo Hai and the others? How could Luo Hai and the others be a match for so many demonic beasts? They shouted at Zhao Hui and the others, "Help! Help! Quickly save us!" Zhao Hui's face was indifferent. He was the shrewdest. At this time, the outcome was already decided. Only a fool would step forward to help. As for Mu Jiang, he couldn't bear it. However, he was dragged by Zhao Hui and caught a glimpse of Yun Chujio's cold gaze. He didn't know why his legs couldn't move. As for Tao Zhong, he hated Luo Hai and the others who wanted to sacrifice him to death. How could he help? While Luo Hai and the other three were in despair, they realized that these demonic beasts seemed to be under Yun Chujio's command. Luo Hai shouted at Yun Chujio, "Junior sister Yun, I was wrong. I was wrong. As long as you spare me, I will agree to any conditions." "Yes, junior sister Yun, we were just joking just now. Please make these demonic beasts stop." Yu Bo shouted at the top of his voice. Wu Dali and Qian Chao were regretful. They cried out, "Junior sister Yun, we were deceived by these two. We were wrong. Please spare us. Yun Chujio said indifferently, I saved you, but you want to repay kindness with enmity. Do I still want to keep you for the new year? Remember not to meet me in your next life, or else I will kill you. Yun Chujio looked at Zhao Hui and the other two coldly. Zhao Hui immediately said obediently, Junior sister Yun, Luo Hai and the other two were killed by Zhuang Ding of Luo Yen Villa. It's really sad. Tao Zhong also echoed from the side, that's right. Their deaths were well deserved. Although Mu Jiang was a simple and honest person, he was not really stupid. He quickly said, yes. They died well. Yun Chujio. However, when Mu Jiang said this, the atmosphere eased up a little. Yun Chujio first let the demonic beasts destroy the evil formation, then she said to Zhao Hui and the others, I have no choice. If they don't die and there's a change of heart in our team, it'll be even harder for us to escape. As you all have seen, although there are many people and demonic beasts trapped here, most of them have no chance of survival. The only ones who can help us to charge out are these 200+ demonic beasts. I reckon that Manor Master Sima will soon realize that something is amiss and bring his men to charge in. Do you have any good countermeasures? Mu Jiang scratched his head. Junior sister Yun, I'm stupid. I'll do whatever you say. Although Tao Zhong didn't say anything, it was clear that there was nothing he could do. Zhao Hui thought for a moment and said, Junior sister Yun, although there are more than 1,000 people in this mine, because they don't know what's happening here, they might not surround the exit at the same time. Why don't we catch them off guard and wait for the exit to open before we charge out? After we rush out in order to avoid the Falling Goose Mountain Villa from setting up an ambush, we will run in the opposite direction. As long as we reach a place where we can use the talisman, we will be able to inform the sect. Yun Chujio felt that what Zhao Hui said made sense, so she nodded her head in agreement. At this moment, the demonic beasts had already destroyed the evil formation. Yun Chujio let the tough earth-type demonic beasts stand at the front, and then let the fire-type and wind-type demonic beasts stand around. As for the four of them, they stood shamelessly in the middle. Although the demon beasts felt very aggrieved, there was nothing they could do. After all, their lives were saved by these few humans, and they had to rely on them to escape. After a while, the exit was indeed opened from the outside. At the moment when the light from the outside shone in, several earth-type demon beasts rushed in. Soon after, Yun Chujio and the rest of the demon beasts also rushed out. Although Manor Master Sima and the rest felt that something was wrong, they definitely did not expect to encounter such a situation. By the time they reacted, Yun Chujio and the rest of the demonic beasts had already rushed out of the mine. Manor Master Sima was exasperated as he led his men to chase after them. However, he was not particularly worried because he had a way to make those demonic beasts return obediently. As long as he could control those demonic beasts, the remaining four people were nothing to be afraid of. Just as Yun Chujio and the rest were running wildly, those demonic beasts suddenly became restless. Some of them with low spiritual power even started to turn around and run back. Yun Chujio's heart tightened. She recalled what the spirit ant had said earlier. These demonic beasts had taken the initiative to run to the mine, which meant that Manor Master Sima definitely had some means to attract these demonic beasts. If these demonic beasts all ran back, then it would be very difficult for the four of them to resist the pursuers of the Sunset Manor. What should they do? Yun Chujio gritted her teeth. It seemed that they could only fight fire with fire. She said to Zhao Hui and the other two, let's go to the front. Zhao Hui and the other two did not understand what was going on, but they still followed Yun Chujio to the front. Then, they tragically discovered that the demonic beasts behind them seemed to have gone crazy, as if they were going to flatten them. What was wrong with these demonic beasts? Just a moment ago, they were going to turn around and run back. Why did they now look like they were going to fight to the death with them? Manor Master Sima had initially been feeling proud when he saw that a few demonic beasts had already turned around. However, he had not expected that those demonic beasts would suddenly go crazy and not return. What was going on? Manor Master Sima gritted his teeth and crushed a few more medicinal pills. An even more intense fragrance spread out. However, those demonic beasts acted as if they had not heard him and continued to run forward wildly. They had attracted some spirit ants, spirit bees, and other demonic insects to gather towards him. He had even been accidentally stung by a spirit bee. Manor Master Sima was so angry that he gritted his teeth. After using the cleaning spell, he led his men and chased after them. He thought to himself, "Fortunately, I have arranged a lot of men in front of me. I don't think those people can run away." Yun Chujio tried to stop Guai Chao from releasing its scent. When she realized that the demonic beasts had gradually returned to normal, she could not help but heave a sigh of relief. She did not know what method the Divine Devil Hall had used to attract those demonic beasts. Fortunately, those methods were not enough in front of Go Weiba. Just as Yun Chujio was feeling slightly relieved, hundreds of Zhuang Ding in the Fallen Goose Mountain Villa's uniform appeared in front of her. Moreover, there was only one exit leading to the outside world. Yun Chujio did not need to think. The demonic beasts knew that they would only die if they fell into the hands of those people. Hence, they howled and pounced on Zhuang Ding. Yun Chujio and the other three also joined in the battle. Yun Chujio had already communicated with Mao Mao Chiu just now. If it really did not work out, she could hide in the Great Void Mystic Realm, but what about Mu Jiang and the other two? And what about these demonic beasts? Although Yun Chujio was not a good person, she still disdained to abandon her companions. Yun Chujio suddenly remembered the sword technique she saw on the cliff. Why not give it a try? Yun Chujio felt that the big kitchen knife was a little too short for her. She took out a sword from her storage ring and began to display the swordsmanship she had learned on the cliff. At first, she was still a little rusty, but she soon found the feeling. Zhuang Ding, who was around her, kept screaming. Zhao Hui and the others were dumbfounded. What kind of swordsmanship was this? It seemed to be similar to the nameless swordsmanship used by the sect leader and the elders, but it seemed to be even more profound than that. How did junior sister Yun learn it? Could it be that she also learned it by eating poisonous mushrooms? Chapter 38-36 Sword Light of Slaughter. This was the first time Yun Chujio had used this half-set of sword technique against an enemy. She did not expect it to be so powerful, and she could not help but feel happy. Unfortunately, the joy quickly turned into sorrow. In the direction of the valley entrance, hundreds of people wearing black masks appeared. The leader was wearing a silver mask. Yun Chujio was very familiar with this outfit. It was the people from the Divine Devil Hall. The moment the silver-masked man saw Yun Chujio, he cried out in surprise, "Yun Chujio? Kill them all. Leave no one alive." Manor Master Sima was originally a little worried, but when he saw those people, he immediately heaved a sigh of relief. The spiritual power of these people wearing black masks was much higher than that of the manor staff of the Fallen Goose Villa. Very quickly, more than half of the demonic beasts were killed and injured, and Zhao Hui and the others were also heavily injured. Yun Chujio knew that even if she released the puppets and the silly cuties, it would be of no use. Just as she was thinking, Zhao Hui and the other two were captured by the people of the Divine Devil Hall. The silver-masked man said coldly, "Yun Chujio, I know that you have some decent spiritual pets, but so what? Even if you let them out, they will still die. You are not our match at all, just surrender." With this, those little things might still have a chance of surviving. Moreover, if you don't stop, these three people will only be buried with you. TKK, and these demonic beasts will all die because of you. Zhao Hui and the other two did not say anything to beg for mercy. They knew that it would be useless even if they did. They also did not say anything to Yun Chujio. Even if Yun Chujio did not care about their lives, they had nothing to say. Their lives were at stake. Who could care about who? When the silver-masked man saw that Yun Chujio did not say anything, he killed an injured Man Tion's huge strength bear with a single slap. The huge body of the Man Tion's huge strength bear fell to the ground. However, its eyes were not closed. There was a strong sense of unwillingness in its eyes. Yun Chujio remembered that when she fed the Man Tion's huge strength bear with the medicinal pills, the Man Tion's huge strength bear had even cupped its hands to her in a mischievous manner. Now it had died in front of her. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. At this moment, another miserable scream rang out. The silver-masked man had killed another Man Tian Wind Blade Tiger. The first thing that Man Tian Wind Blade Tiger did when it was saved by Yun Chujio was not to heal its injuries. Instead, it was to comb its beautiful fur in a pretentious manner. However, at this moment, its beautiful fur was already stained with fresh blood. There was even a bloody hole that was continuously bleeding. Yun Chujio, I know that you might not care about these beasts. What about these 3 people? If you don't throw away the sword in your hand, I will chop off their limbs in front of you, and then… Yun Chujio could no longer hear the silver-masked man's words. Her heart was filled with murderous intent. It was a murderous intent that blotted out the sky and covered the earth. Yun Chujio did not use her will to control the surging murderous intent. She wanted to use this murderous intent to kill all these animals that were inferior to pigs and dogs. The black bead seemed to know Yun Chujio's intention, so it did not react. Just as the silver-masked man was talking smugly, a bright light flashed in front of his eyes. Then, his eyes widened and he fell to the ground. Even until his death, he still did not know what was going on. Yun Chujio was clearly still some distance away from him. There were clearly many disciples of the Divine Devil Hall around him. How could he have been stabbed in the throat? The scene that followed was a scene that Zhao Hui and the others would never forget for the rest of their lives. It was bloody and terrifying, but they saw hope for survival. They could no longer see Yun Chujio's figure clearly. They could only see a ball of sword light slaughtering non-stop. Wherever the sword light passed, no one survived. Blood flowed like a river, and corpses littered the ground. Chapter 38-37. She was the devil. Yun Chujio had maintained a trace of clarity at the beginning, but as she continued to kill, there was only one thought in her mind, and that was to kill. Manor Master Sima had originally thought that the silver-masked man would bring his men over to support them, and that they would definitely win. Who would have thought that Yun Chujio, who was only at the 9th level of the spirit transformation realm, would actually go crazy? All the attacks aimed at her spirit energy were blocked by the sword intent surrounding her body. However, the treasured sword in her hand was like the god of death, continuously reaping human lives. Manor Master Sima's legs were a little weak. Seeing the people wearing the black mask falling one after another, he was afraid. If he didn't escape, he wouldn't be able to live. He turned around and ran, afraid that if he was a step slower, he would be killed by Yun Chujio. However, he had only run a few steps when a treasured sword came from behind and nailed him to the ground. He turned his head with much effort and saw that the young girl who seemed to be possessed by a demon was staring at him coldly, and there were corpses all over the ground around her. Manor Master Sima felt that his life force was being drained bit by bit from his body. He was unwilling to accept this. Everything had clearly been arranged seamlessly, and Lord Silver Mask had clearly brought people to support him. Why had he failed in the end? It was her, it was all her. It was all this devil-like young lady. She was not human. She was a devil. Manor Master Sima watched as the devil-like young lady walked towards him step by step. Endless fear surged up in him, and he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. He was actually scared to death. Yun Chujio walked up to him and pulled out the treasured sword that was inserted into his body. Her eyes, which were filled with purple lightning, did not have a trace of emotion. There was only a frenzied killing intent. At this moment, the black bead in her dantian trembled. Yun Chujio felt a sharp pain in her dantian. The lightning in her eyes gradually faded away and she fainted on the ground. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Behind her, Zhao Hui and the others cried out in surprise and quickly ran over. They fed her pills and called out to her. The surviving demonic beasts also began to roar in low voices. After experiencing life and death, it had nothing to do with whether they were demonic beasts or humans. At this moment, they were all comrades who fought side by side. Yun Chujio quickly woke up. When she saw the corpses all over the ground, she didn't have the time to sort out her thoughts. She said in a somewhat hoarse voice, "Let's leave this place quickly." The Divine Devil Hall has a secret technique that can transmit information. Perhaps the Divine Devil Hall will send someone over soon. Zhao Hui and the other two quickly helped Yun Chujio to sit on the back of a Mansky sawtooth elephant. They then sped away with the remaining dozens of demonic beasts. Yun Chujio sat on the back of the elephant with her brows furrowed. She did not know if it was because she had used up all her energy during the slaughter, but she felt that there was nothing in her dantian. There was not even a trace of spiritual power. In the past, even if she had awakened her power when she was stimulated, everything would still be normal after she woke up. However, why was it like this time? Could it be that the awakening caused by the killing intent had sequelae? Just as she was extremely worried, she vaguely felt that spiritual energy was slowly being generated in her dantian. Only then did her heart heave a sigh of relief. Fortunately, she had been scared to death. At this moment, Zhao Hui said, "Junior Sister Yun, after passing through the valley entrance, we can use the talisman normally. Then we can ask the sect for help." Zhao Hui paused at this point and asked tentatively, "Junior Sister Yun, how should we report this to the sect?" Yun Chujio could not help but look at Zhao Hui with a faint smile. This Zhao Hui was quite tactful. She curled the corners of her lips and said, "How do you mean? Wasn't it just my fiancé who appeared at the critical moment to save us?" Chapter 38 was either happy or worried fiancé. "Junior Sister Yun, where is your fiancé?" Mu Jiang asked in a daze. Zhao Hui glared at him and then said to Yun Chujio, "Junior Sister Yun, you are right. It was your fiancé who saved us. Those people from the Divine Devil Hall and Manor Master Sima were all killed by your fiancé." Yun Chujio was quite satisfied with Zhao Hui's intelligence and tactfulness. Her clear and cold gaze fell on the pale-faced Tao Zhong. "Senior brother Tao, what do you think?" Tao Zhong could not describe the feeling in his heart. He recalled the contempt and insults he had towards Yun Chujio previously. It was like a joke. He was like a clown who was complacent previously. Yun Chujio simply could not be bothered with him. Otherwise, she would have killed him long ago. He said hesitantly, "Junior Sister Yun, you are right. Yes, it was your fiancé who saved us." The corners of Yun Chujio's mouth curled slightly, and she didn't say anything else. When they were out of danger, it was necessary to let the nightmare beast weave a dream for them. However, the nightmare beast had just finished weaving a dream for Li Zhuangji a few days ago. If she wanted to succeed this time, she had to help Meng Yanshou. Just as Yun Chujio was thinking, she heard Zhao Hui's gasp. Her heart sank. She looked up and saw hundreds of people wearing black masks coming out from the bushes on both sides of the valley entrance. The silver-masked man in the lead was looking at them viciously. Yun Chujio's head buzzed. What she was afraid of came true. Although she had recovered some spiritual power, it was pitifully little. Even if her killing intent appeared again, its power would probably be limited. Zhao Hui and the others had hoped that Yun Chujio would kill again, but when they saw her pale face, despair surged in their hearts. It was over. They really had no way to escape this time. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks, the silver-masked man said coldly like a poisonous snake. Are you Yun Chujio, who has ruined our plans time and time again? This time, let's see how you can escape. Go. Kill them. Right at this moment, the people from the Divine Devil Hall suddenly shouted for them to kill. Zhao Hui immediately said excitedly, "It's the people from the 9-storied pavilion. It's Tower Master Luochen. Junior Sister Yun were saved." Yun Chujio's heart was like a beeping dog. She did not know whether she should be happy or worried. The reason why Tower Master Luochen had appeared so timely was probably because he had already made arrangements and wanted to kidnap her on the way. She did not expect that he would actually take the risk of becoming enemies with the Nameless Sword sect to kidnap her. He was really crazy. Just as Yun Chujio was thinking about it, Tower Master Luochen had already rushed past the encirclement and stood in front of her, acting like a guardian. Yun Chujio cursed silently in her heart. If this had not happened in the past, she would have been slightly touched. However, now she was filled with sarcasm. Although the number of people in the 9-tiered pavilion was not as many as the people of the Divine Devil Hall, Their spiritual power was clearly much higher. In addition to Tower Master Luochen, who had high spiritual power, the people of the Divine Devil Hall were quickly defeated and left. Zhao Hui and the other two hurriedly jumped down from the back of the elephant to thank Tower Master Luochen. Tower Master Luochen's eyes flickered, obviously considering whether to kill them to silence them. He did not spend so much effort to save the three idiots. As long as he killed them, he could take Yun Chujio away and push their deaths onto the Divine Devil Hall. Yun Chujio easily guessed Tower Master Luochen's thoughts. She gritted her teeth. It seemed that she could only hide in the great void mystic realm. As long as she disappeared, Lan Luochen did not have to kill Zhao Hui and the other two. It was just that she would have some trouble in the future. Chapter 38-39. Shui Wuji and Infeng. Just as Yun Chujio was about to hide in the great void mystic realm, a bewitching laugh came from the bushes nearby. Yo, Lan Luven, are you planning to snatch the bride while your face is paralyzed? Yun Chujio heard this voice and could not help but feel delighted. She looked up and saw Shui Wuji in red walking over with a casual smile. Yun Chujio looked behind Shui Wuji with some hope, but she didn't see the figure she wanted to see. She couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. Besides disappointment, she was also a little worried. Although Wu Ji's brain was quite powerful, he might not be a match for Tower Master Luochen. Moreover, he had the subordinates of the 9-tiered pavilion behind him. Tower Master Luochen saw Shui Wuji and showed some contempt on his face. Shui Wuji, do you think you are still the young Master Wuji from before? What right do you have to criticize me now? Shui Wuji shrugged. Fifesa Lan Lun, you are still as annoying as before. However, you are quite pitiful. Is your confidence built on this so-called power? No wonder little sister Jiao doesn't like you anymore. I'm afraid no one will like a person like you. Tower Master Luochen's expression suddenly became very cold. So-called power? Shui Wuji, you will soon know whether this so-called power is useful or not. Go kill him. Yun Chujio clenched her teeth in anxiety. If Shui Wuji did not show up, she could hide, but if she hid now, Shui Wuji would lose his life. What should she do? Could it be that she could only pretend to follow Lan Luochen to the 9 pavilions? Yun Chujio was about to speak when she heard Shui Wuji chuckle. It seems that only you have subordinates and I don't. Little baby, come out. Following Shui Wuji's words, Infeng walked out with a face full of despair. If not, he wouldn't have followed this stupid young Master Wuji to mess around. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Tower Master Luochen looked at Infeng with a disdainful expression. There were only 2 of them and he still wanted to fight with them? However, his expression quickly turned ugly. He realized that he couldn't see through the spiritual power levels of Shui Wuji and Infeng. This meant that their spiritual power was higher than his. How was this possible? Di Baiming's spiritual power was higher than his, which was enough to make him angry. How could their spiritual power be higher than his? Shui Wuji crossed his arms and said provocatively, Lan Lun, what do you think? How about we compete? Although there are only 2 of us, it's not certain who will win. Lan Luochen looked at the dozens of beasts behind Yun Chujio, then glanced at Zhao Hui and the other 2. He weighed the pros and cons in his heart, and finally said coldly, I have other things to do today, so I won't argue with you for now. Retreat. Tower Master Luochen looked at Yun Chujio deeply, then left with the people of the 9-storied pavilion. Yun Chujio finally let out a sigh of relief, but she also knew that this was not a good place to talk, so she immediately called the others and hurried out of the valley. After leaving the valley, the demonic beasts roared a few times and then ran towards the mountain forest. Everyone boarded their flying spirit tools and hurriedly headed in the direction of the nameless sword sect. Yun Chujio and the other 3 immediately took out sound transmission talismans to send a message to the sect and requested for the sect to come to their aid. Yun Chujio was afraid that someone in the middle would cause trouble, so she specially sent a sound transmission talisman to Hall Master Zhuge, making sure that he had to see Master Ouyang personally report this matter. Chapter 38-40. Elder Jiu had arrived after Yun Chujio sent out the voice transmission talisman, She went to another cabin with Enfeng and Shui Wuji. Brother Wuji, little madman, why are you here? Where's my fiancé who is so angry at the heavens and the earth? Shui Wuji's mouth twitched. Little sister Jiao, let's not talk about that facial paralysis first. Why do you look so pale? You should take a rest first. We want leave for the time being. You don't have to worry about the divine devil hall's pursuers coming over. Yun Chujiao also felt a little dizzy, so she did not ask any more questions and laid down to rest first. This fellow was muttering in her heart. It seemed that this killing intent was not very similar to Qi deviation. After all, when she went crazy, she only killed the people of the Divine Devil Hall and did not harm Zhao Hui and the others. However, this killing intent clearly had a side effect. Not only did it consume a lot of spiritual power, but it was also very tiring. However, in the past, the awakening of the power caused by grief and indignation took a longer time, so it seemed that the killing intent was not bad. In a daze, Yun Chujiao finally fell asleep. Perhaps because she was too tired, Yun Chujiao slept until the next morning. When she woke up, she found that there was nothing wrong with her body, so she was relieved. Junior sister Yun, I just received news that Elder Gu has already brought people to meet us. I believe that he will meet us soon, Zhao Hui said with some excitement. Yun Chujiao was also very happy, but she just remembered that she hadn't woven a dream for Zhao Hui and the other two. Now, there was no need to talk about her fiancé, just Shui Wuji and Enfeng. The higher the spiritual power of the weaved person, the clearer their will, and the more difficult it was to weave a dream. Therefore, Yun Chujiao secretly drugged Zhao Hui and the other two, and then asked the nightmare beast to weave a dream for them. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks Meng Yanshou was a habitual offender. Therefore, even after Zhao Hui and the other two woke up, they did not notice anything unusual. However, because Meng Yanshou had used up too much spiritual power, the whole rabbit was listless. Yun Chujiao felt a little heartache. She comforted Meng Yanshou and threw it a few storybooks before putting it into the spirit beast bag. Yun Chujiao found an opportunity to ask Dark Wind about Di Baiming. And Feng said that Di Baiming had something on and could not get away. Moreover, he could not use the sound transmission talisman where he was. Yun Chujiao saw that Enfeng and Shui Wuji's expressions were normal, so she didn't doubt them. Half a day later, Yun Chujiao and the others finally met Elder Gu and the others. The two flying spirit tools landed on the ground. Yun Chujiao simply introduced Shui Wuji and Enfeng, stating that they were her fiancé's subordinates. Elder Gu was shocked. These two young men's spiritual power was even higher than his. It seemed that it was true that Yun Chujia's fiancé had once defeated Tower Master Luochen. However, since Yun Chujia's fiancé was so powerful, why had he never heard of him before? And he didn't have any power? Although Elder Gu was full of doubts, he still politely greeted Shui Wuji and Enfeng and asked them about what had happened to Yun Chujiao. Yun Chujiao told them about what had happened, but she blamed the deaths of Luo Hai and the others on those people from the Fallen Goose Villa, and blamed Shui Wuji and Enfeng for killing the people from the God and Demon Palace. Because she was afraid of making a mistake, she did not hide the matter of Tower Master Luochen. Elder Gu was terrified when he heard this. His expression changed slightly as he said, I originally planned to bring you back to the Fallen Goose Mountain Villa to capture those remaining members. Now, it seems that it's safer to ask the sect to send more people over. Yun Chujiao naturally agreed with Bai Li. The area within hundreds of miles of the Fallen Goose Mountain Villa was prohibited from flying, and talismans were forbidden. If one entered rashly, one might fall into the trap of the godly demon palace. Chapter 3841. The little silver snake. She blinked her eyes and said, Elder Gu, this matter is of great importance. Why don't we ask the other major forces to send people over to take a look? Elder Gus' eyes lit up and he immediately took out his voice transmission talisman to communicate with Master Ouyang. Seeing Elder Gu walk to the other side, Shui Wuji said to Yun Chujiao, Little sister Jiao, come over here. The little madman has something to talk to you about. Enfeng looked at Shui Wuji with a sad look, then resigned himself to his fate and followed the two to the other side. Seeing the two of them acting so mysteriously, Yun Chujio could not help but feel a little curious. She opened the isolation array and asked, "Little madman, what's the matter?" And Feng laughed dryly, then took out a small silver snake from his sleeve pocket. "Miss Gio, this is your Majesty's spiritual pet. It's been a little inconvenient for my Majesty recently, so he wants you to take care of it for a while." Yun Chujio looked at the small silver snake in Feng's hand with a dumbfounded expression. "That's not right. Isn't the small yellow dragon golden? And its appearance is that of a dragon. Isn't this a snake?" And Feng immediately explained, "Miss Gio, the small yellow dragon's original appearance was too ostentatious, so it transformed into this appearance to avoid attracting trouble." Hearing his words, Yun Chujio felt that it made sense. The small yellow dragon was indeed a little ostentatious, and it was indeed very common for it to turn into a small silver snake. However, she disliked the little yellow dragon very much, so she said with disdain, "You can help raise it. Why did you have to send it all the way here for me? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." "Thanks." And Feng choked. Shui Wuji said from the side, "Little Sister Gio, it's not like you don't know that this little yellow dragon is special. It can't be kept into our spirit beast bags. We kill it every day. How can we have time to take care of it? Besides, we've never raised a spiritual pet before, so we don't know how to do it." Shui Wuji squeezed his eyes as he said, "Little Sister Gio, besides, if this little lecherous dragon is with you, won't you be able to meet him when he comes to pick it up?" Yun Chujio's heart skipped a beat. Yes, the pretty boy had sealed his 7 emotions and 6 desires, so he might deliberately avoid her. With the little lecherous dragon, she wasn't afraid that he wouldn't come to find her. Besides, she had many spiritual pets anyway, so she did not need this little lecherous dragon. It was a good opportunity to take care of it. Therefore, she curled her lips. "All right, then I will reluctantly accept it." And Feng heard this and hurriedly stuffed the little silver snake into Yun Chujio's hand. Then, he said in a hurry, "Well, Miss Gio, young Master Wuji and I still have important things to do. We will take our leave now." Shui Wuji also said, "Little Sister Gio, take care. They'll come to see you in a few days." After the two of them finished talking, they left in a hurry, looking like they were running away. Yun Chujio was completely confused. What was wrong with these two? Yun Chujio lowered her head and looked at the small silver snake in her hand. It looked a little more pleasing than the golden one before, but she still despised it. No matter how it changed its appearance, it would still be that lecherous dragon. Shameless. Yun Chujio wanted to put the small silver snake into her spiritual beast bag, but she did not succeed. Only then did she realize that this thing was a divine beast. If it did not recognize its owner, she would not be able to put it in. It was really troublesome. No wonder the black chicken's head and the little madman were thrown to her like a hot potato. Thinking of this, Yun Chujio disliked the small silver snake even more. She grabbed the small silver snake's tail and threw it to the ground. "You pervert! I might as well let you die on your own." Chapter 3842. Back to the sect. Hei Shinjio originally thought that the small silver snake would be so angry that it would spit its tongue at her or jump around on the ground. She did not expect the small silver snake to have no reaction at all. Yun Chujio's heart skipped a beat. Fuck, did it fall to its death? Was a godly beast that weak? Besides, she had only thrown the small silver snake onto the ground. She did not use any strength at all. She quickly squatted down and picked up the small silver snake. Only then did she realize that the small silver snake's eyes were closed. This fellow felt guilty and tested its aura. Only when she felt that the small silver snake was still alive did she heave a sigh of relief. Even if she did not like this little lecherous dragon, it was still a pretty boy's spiritual pet after all. If she really played it to death, it would seem a little unethical. At this moment, Elder Gu called her over. She had no choice but to put the little silver snake into her sleeve and then run over. Elder Gu first probed about Shui Wuji and Infeng, then asked about the details of the Fallen Goose Mountain village. Finally, he said, "I have already reported it to the sect leader. The sect leader will immediately discuss it with the other major forces." Soon, he will send people to the Fallen Goose Mountain village to check it out and let us return to the sect first. Yun Chujio was truly surprised. She thought that Master Ouyang would let them go to the Fallen Goose Villa together. She didn't expect that he would let her return to the sect first. How could she know that Master Ouyang had a reason for doing this? Firstly, Yun Chujio had dealt with the Divine Devil Hall several times. The information she had was very important, so she couldn't let anything happen to her. Secondly, Tower Master Luochen clearly hadn't given up. If Yun Chujio were to be in danger, the 9 pavilions would probably be even more dissatisfied with the Nameless Sword sect. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Thirdly, according to Elder Gu, Yun Chujio's fiancé's 2 subordinate spiritual powers were so high, so Yun Chujio's fiancé was even more difficult to deal with. Therefore, they couldn't let Yun Chujio be in danger. 2 days later, Elder Gu brought Yun Chujio and the others back to the Nameless Sword sect. Yun Chujio and the other 2 received a few more questions before letting them return to their dormitories to rest. Although Zhao Hui and the other 2 had been weaved into a dream by the Meng Yanshou, there was still a lingering fear of Yun Chujio in their hearts. They spoke to Yun Chujio in fear and trepidation before returning to their respective dormitories. Yun Chujio had yet to walk to the entrance of her own dormitory when she saw Journey coming over to welcome her with a flattering smile. "Junior sister Yun, you're back. I knew that you were blessed with great fortune and good fortune. Nothing will happen to you." Yun Chujio looked at him with a hint of mockery. "You're afraid that if I die, you won't be able to get the antidote, right? Tell me, what happened during the time I was away?" Jeremy laughed dryly, then he said, "Nothing happened. It's just that the Zhongli that you asked me to keep an eye on has gone mad again." He cut off Martial Uncle Wan's arm. Elder Wan was very dissatisfied and threatened to expel Zhongli from the sect. However, later on, I heard that the sect leader asked for leniency. Coincidentally, the teleportation array in the Nameless Ancestral Master's Cave was repaired, so he locked Zhongli in the Nameless Ancestral Master's Cave. Yun Chujio's eyes flashed. Has he gone mad again? There must be something else going on. Perhaps it was Zhongli who left and Wan Qingba asked about what happened back then. Wan Qingba was afraid that he would be exposed and used tricks to frame him again. Zhongli might have been a favored son of heaven since he was young, and everything went smoothly. Even if he had encountered setbacks, he was still lacking in scheming. A person like him was indeed not suitable to be a sect leader. Even if he did, he would be played to death by others. Chapter 3843. But Face, who was shocked, Yun Chujio asked Jarni a few more questions, then took out a pill and handed it to him. "This is the antidote. From now on, we are even. You can leave." Jarni took the antidote and hurriedly stuffed it into his mouth, but he didn't leave immediately. Junior sister Yun, you can tell me anything in the future. Although I am a handyman, I am still well informed," Jarni said with some flattery. Yun Chujio looked at Jarni with some surprise. "If that's the case, then help me keep an eye on Wan Qingba. If anything happens, come and tell me. I will give you this bottle of 9 Revolution Spirit pill as a reward. If you do well, I will not mistreat you." Although Yun Chujio looked down on the 9 Revolution Spirit pill, to a handyman like Jarni, this bottle of 9 Revolution Spirit pill was considered very valuable. He suddenly felt that his choice was not wrong. He had helped Luo Hai and Yu Bo with so many things, and the 2 of them had only given him a few 9 Revolution Spirit pills. The reason why he chose to join Yun Chujio was because he heard that Luo Hai and Yu Bo were dead. He knew that the 2 of them wanted to kill Yun Chujio. In the end, Yun Chujio returned safely, but the 2 of them were dead. What did this mean? It meant that this Yun Chujio was definitely not simple. Moreover, he vaguely heard that this Yun Chujio's fiancé was very impressive. Even his fiancé's subordinates had higher spiritual power than Elder Gu. In the future, this Yun Chujio might have a bright future. This was a good opportunity for him to climb up. After Yun Chujio sent Jarni away, she opened the restriction in the courtyard. When Yun Chujio took off her coat and was about to take a bath, the small silver snake fell to the ground with a clatter. Yun Chujio then remembered that she had another burden. She thought to herself, this little lecherous dragon is the most lecherous. Maybe it will peep at her taking a bath. Therefore, she left the small silver snake in the outer room and asked Buttface to keep an eye on it, in case it woke up halfway and peered at it. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Buttface stared at the silver snake in the outer room and said disdainfully, little lecherous dragon, don't you feel ashamed that your dragon turned into a small snake? Also, your own master doesn't like you and left you to the little fairy. You are really miserable. I'm warning you. If you dare to peek at the little fairy bathing, I will eat you. Dog 2 kept kissing the little silver snake for a long time, but the snake still didn't open its eyes. Dog 2 couldn't help but feel a little bored. It unhappily stretched out its claws to pull the little silver snake, but the little silver snake suddenly opened its eyes, scaring Dog 2 so much that it staggered. Dog 2 was scared stiff by the little silver snake's cold eyes. When it looked again, the little silver snake had already closed its eyes. But Face took a while to recover. He stared at the silver snake for a long time. The silver snake just lay there with its eyes closed, as if everything that happened just now was an illusion. But Face stretched out his paw and wanted to try again, but after thinking for a while, he pulled back. The guy said proudly, "Humph, I'm not afraid of you. I'm mainly afraid of disturbing the little fairy. However, I'm warning you. If you dare to harm the little fairy, I, Buttface, will not forgive you." The little silver snake still had no reaction. Buttface was puzzled. Could it be that the little lecherous dragon was sleepwalking just now? It was really strange. The divine dragons were usually violent. Why did this little lecherous dragon have such a cold gaze? It must have seen wrongly. Chapter 3844 Cobra. After Yun Chujio finished her bath, she ignored the little silver snake and strolled into the courtyard. Buttface followed her eagerly. Little fairy, that little lecherous dragon is most likely hibernating. Otherwise, why didn't it wake up for such a long time? Yun Chujio couldn't be bothered with this idiot Buttface. It was spring all year round here. What was the point of hibernating? Yun Chujio leaned back on the recliner, nibbling on a fruit as she thought about the murderous aura. If they were facing an enemy, it wouldn't be a bad thing for the murderous aura to surge, but if the murderous aura surged up normally, it would be very troublesome. What exactly was this murderous aura? Just as Yun Chujio was thinking about it, Xiao Hanyo and the others were clamoring to come out for some fresh air, so Yun Chujio let them all out. Anyway, this was a haunted house, so no one would come over. Seeing that the little black bird and Xiao Hanyo were having fun on the other side, a bright light flashed in the kitten's eyes, and it secretly moved toward the house. If it could swallow the golden dragon, it would definitely awaken more spiritual power, and then it would be able to get rid of this smelly girl. The more the kitten thought about it, the more pleased it became. The golden dragon was now half dead, and it had no spiritual connection with the smelly girl, so it could only let it eat it. The kitten finally moved into the house. It carefully looked outside, but neither Yun Chujio nor Xiao Hanyo noticed it, so it couldn't help but be happy. It saw the small silver snake lying on the table at a glance. It drooled and jumped onto the table, revealing its sharp claws again and reaching for the small silver snake. At this moment, Dog 2's voice came from the door. "Kitten, what are you doing?" The kitten was so hateful. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks, however, it could only gnash its teeth and say, I want to see if this little lecherous dragon is awake. The little fairy said that she wanted to reward you with dried fish. Hurry up and get out. Dog 2's eyes revealed some disdain. Did it really think that everyone else was an idiot? The little fairy had already seen it sneakily enter the house, but she did not expose it. Idiot! The kitten was so angry that it gritted its teeth. It had no choice but to jump off the table and leave unwillingly. Dog 2 looked at the motionless silver snake on the table and then went out. At this moment, the silver snake on the table opened its eyes. It was cold inside, and it closed its eyes again a moment later. The kitten moved closer to Yun Chujio with a guilty conscience. Fortunately, Yun Chujio did not say anything and only threw 2 dried fish to it. Yes, the kind that was so salty that it could kill. The kitten ate the 2 dried fish bitterly and drank half a jar of cold water. It finally understood that the stupid girl had been pretending to be ignorant. It was really too hateful. However, since the little girl did not want to break the window, it naturally would not do so. It did not want the fish to die and the net to break. Yun Chujio squinted her eyes and looked at the kitten. The kitten had reminded her that the little lecherous dragon clearly did not have any ability to protect itself. It seemed that she had to carry it with her. Otherwise, it would be very dangerous. However, that lecherous person was not a good person. What if he peeked at her? Yun Chujio walked into the house and stared at the little silver snake for a while. Then she snapped her fingers. There it was. Yun Chujio took out a needle and thread and fiddled with it for a while. Then, she made a small eye mask and put it over the little silver snake's eyes. This guy could not help but giggle. Isn't this a cobra? Chapter 38:45. The facial paralysis. Just as Yun Chujio was feeling smug, but Face said weakly, "Little fairy, this little pervert is not even as thick as your thumb. Why don't you just put a cloth over it? It's a waste of time to sew such a thing." Although Yun Chujio realized that she was a little stupid, she still kicked butt Face. Get lost. What do you know? This is called aesthetic appreciation. As soon as Hei Shinjio finished her sentence, the small silver snake's body suddenly shrank. Then, the eye patch that she had carefully sewn was swept to the ground by the snake's tail. Buttface gloated and said, "Little fairy, the little pervert seems to dislike the weird thing you made." Yun Chujio was so angry that she clenched her teeth and picked up the small silver snake's tail. She said fiercely, "Little perverted dragon, are you trying to rebel? Let me tell you, you are now a homeless dragon. If you continue to be a demon, I will throw you out and let you fend for yourself." After saying that, Yun Chujio threw the small silver snake to the corner of the wall. She thought to herself, "This thing will be reborn even if it dies. Do whatever you want." She didn't believe that the pretty boy would fall out with her because of this little perverted dragon. Yun Chujio glared fiercely at the motionless small silver snake in the corner of the wall and left in a huff. Dog 2 used its claws to pull the small eye patch that was despised. It gloated at the small silver snake and said, "Are you stupid? The little fairy spent a long time sewing this thing for you and you still don't appreciate it. You deserve to be thrown to the corner of the wall. Since you don't want it, I'll keep this thing." As Buttface said this, he put the blindfold into his storage space. Then, he felt a cold gaze staring at him. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Buttface turned his head and saw the little silver snake, who was pretending to be dead in the corner, looking at him as if he was looking at a dead dog. Buttface was so scared that he couldn't help but tremble. He roared, "What are you looking at? If you keep looking, I'll eat you." After Buttface said that, he ran out in a panic. The small silver snake suddenly jumped up and nimbly jumped onto the table. Then, it coiled up into a small ball and closed its eyes. Yun Chujio was infuriated by the small silver snake. She took out An Feng's voice transmission talisman and said, "Little lunatic, quickly take the small dragon away. Otherwise, I'll stew it in soup one day." An Feng, who was on the other side, almost threw the voice transmission talisman on the ground after he heard that. He looked at Shui Wuji with a sorrowful expression. "Young Master Wuji, I told you that this method of yours won't work. It's not like you don't know how much Miss Jiu dislikes the little yellow dragon. Why don't we invite the little yellow dragon? No, the venerable one back." A hint of schadenfreude flashed across Shui Wuji's bewitching phoenix eyes. He said carelessly, "That facial paralysis is his own doing. Now, only the 7 emotions and 6 desires that have been sealed can be restored. In the whole world, only little Sister Jiu can let him unseal the 7 emotions and 6 desires. If you don't throw him to little Sister Jiu, can you let that facial paralysis unseal the 7 emotions and 6 desires?" And Feng said with a bitter face, But Ninth Miss doesn't know that it's your Majesty. Moreover, your Majesty doesn't want us to tell Ninth Miss. Moreover, Ninth Miss hates little perverted dragons to death now. How can she help your majesty unseal the 7 emotions and 6 desires? Shui Wuji pursed his lips. That facial paralysis is blaming us for his face. If he can't take it anymore, he will naturally take the initiative to tell us. However, this human snake love really has a heavy taste. Chapter 3846. Can there be sparks? And Feng was about to cry. A snake without emotions and a deranged 9th miss. How could there be sparks? And Feng looked like he had nothing to live for. Young Master Wuji, then how should I reply to 9th miss? Shui Wuji said nonchalantly, just tell her that we have urgent matters to attend to and that we'll retrieve the little lecherous dragon later. Besides, we'll be leaving Towering Sky Continent soon, and she won't be able to contact us. What are you afraid of? And Feng had no other choice but to reply Hey Xinjiu according to Shui Wuji's instructions. After receiving in Feng's voice transmission talisman, Hey Xinjiu gritted her teeth in anger. She knew immediately that Feng was just giving her a perfunctory reply. There was no way he would come back to retrieve the little lecherous dragon. Just as Yun Chujiu was fuming with anger, Buttface said, Little fairy, someone is coming. Although Buttface was not very capable now, he was an ancient fierce beast after all. Moreover, he was the soul of an adult ancient fierce beast, so his sense of aura was much stronger than Yun Chujiu's. Yun Chujiu frowned and only left Buttface behind. The rest of the dumb cuties were put into her storage ring. After a moment, there was a knock on the door. Yun Chujiu opened it and saw that it was Jiarani. Yun Chujiu was stunned. Is there something you need me for? Jiarani looked around, he lowered his voice and said, Junior Sister Yun, I just returned to the Sword Hall and overheard Uncle Master Wan talking to a disciple of the Discipline Hall. I vaguely heard something about Zhang Li and what he did to Zhang Li. He definitely won't survive, so I quickly came over to tell you. Yun Chujiu's heart sank. It seemed that Wan Qingba intended to put Zhang Li to death. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks, the people of the Discipline Hall did not need to put any poison in their food. As long as they deducted the amount, a person without spiritual power, without water or food, would probably not last more than a few days. Yun Chujiu asked Jiarani a few more questions and then sent him away. Yun Chujiu sat on the recliner and thought, should I help Zhang Li or not? After thinking about it, she decided to help Zhang Li once. She and Elder One had already reached an irreconcilable state. She did not have any allies in the Nameless Sword sect, so Zhang Li was at least a former disciple of Master Ouyang. He could barely be considered a good helper. However, how could she help? Master Ouyang had previously pleaded for Zhang Li's mercy, so it was likely that he had already used up his last bit of friendship. Even if she went to find Master Ouyang, it might not be of any use. Moreover, she did not have any real evidence. Yun Chujiu didn't have any idea until after dinner. She could only sit in the courtyard and continue to think. Buttface said shamelessly, Little fairy, don't look so sad. Look at how beautiful the moon is tonight. Let's admire the moon together. Hearing that, Yun Chujiu looked up. The moon in the night sky was very bright. She suddenly remembered that the full moon would be in 2 days. Would the sword technique on the stone wall appear? She rolled her eyes and immediately had an idea to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. The next morning, Yun Chujiu went to the hidden sword peak. With her full of bad ideas, she finally met Master Ouyang. Yun Chujiu first kissed him. It was just that she accidentally heard that the Discipline Hall had set up a trap for Zhang Li, so she came to inform him. After hearing it, Master Ouyang's face was very cold. No matter how many favors he had, Zhang Li had caused trouble time and time again, and it had all been exhausted. Moreover, Master Ouyang had already aroused the dissatisfaction of several elders because of Zhang Li. He really didn't want to cause any more trouble. Chapter 3847. Did she want to settle down in the ancestral master's abode? Yun Chujiu caught a glimpse of Master Ouyang's expression and basically guessed his thoughts. She said with a smile, Master Ouyang, I have a presumptuous request. I hope you can agree. Master Ouyang frowned and asked coldly, "What request?" "Last time, I received advice from the ancestral master's abode, so can you let me go up again? As you know, there's no use even if you only have 3 moves. No matter what, I have to get the old man to give me 10 or 8 more moves." The corner of Master Ouyang's eyes twitched. What advice from the ancestral master? That was clearly mushroom poisoning. After the teleportation array was repaired, Master Ouyang had specially sent people to the ancestral master's cave abode to check. They did not find the poisonous mushroom that Yun Chujio mentioned, but they did not find anything else unusual. However, everyone did not doubt Yun Chujio's words. After all, without the poisonous mushroom, she would not be able to last until the end. She was starving to death. Seeing that Master Ouyang did not say anything, Yun Chujio said, "Master Ouyang, although I am not familiar with martial uncle Zhang Li, I cannot bear for him to really be harmed by a traitor. Firstly, I am going to seek guidance from the ancestral master. Secondly, I can also send some food and drinks to martial uncle Zhang Li. Moreover, if I learn a new sword move, won't it be able to contribute to our sect? Please agree with me." In the end, Master Ouyang was persuaded by Yun Chujio. In the end, he still couldn't bear to see Zhang Li get killed. Otherwise, he wouldn't have tried so hard to keep him in the Nameless Sword sect. Moreover, the 3 moves that Yun Chujio learned last time were very mysterious. If this little girl was lucky enough to fantasize a few more moves, it would be a good thing for the Nameless Sword sect. Thereupon, He Xinjiu took Master Ouyang's handwritten order and returned to her courtyard. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks to go to the ancestral master's cave abode, she naturally had to prepare many things. First, she had to prepare food and drinks. Even if she had the juice of the Guai Chao, that Zhang Li still had to eat and drink, right? Little Wu Yun and a large kitchen knife were necessary. She also had to prepare the sticky silk and rope. In case little Wu Yun could not use them, these things would be useful. This guy even specially prepared a large bronze mirror. Finally, he looked at the small silver snake with disdain and put it on his hair. Then, he valiantly went to the teleportation formation of the Nameless Ancestral Master's cave abode. When the disciples guarding the teleportation formation saw the sect leader's order that Yun Chujio took out, they immediately opened the teleportation formation. Then, they were stunned to see that Yun Chujio kept putting things on the teleportation formation. Buckets, food boxes, clothes, quilts, and a big iron pot. And that was not all. She was carrying a big bag on her back. It was unknown what she was carrying. Well, she was carrying a puppy in her arms. Did she want to settle down in the ancestral master's cave? The disciples looked at Yun Chujio with twitching lips. In the end, they opened the teleportation array speechlessly. A white light flashed. When Yun Chujio regained her sight, she was already on the stone platform of the ancestral master's cave. She dragged all the things to the side to avoid being accidentally teleported back. That would be a loss that would not be worth it. Zhang Li, who was already so hungry that he did not have much strength left, looked at Yun Chujio in a daze. Why was this little girl here? Yun Chujio waved her claws. Martial Uncle Zhang, long time no see. Zhang Li laughed bitterly. He did not say anything. What could he say? He felt that he was really a good-for-nothing now. Originally, he wanted to talk to Wan Qingba about what happened back then. He wanted to see if there were any flaws. However, he did not expect that he would be possessed by the devil again. In the end, he almost starved to death. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.